Should you buy the classic i7-9750H inside of the MSI GF65, or go with the latest Ryzen 7 4800H inside of the Asus TUF A15? But this review is more than just about performance head-to-heads. We're going to look at the build quality and usability of each of these laptops. Coming at you right now.
Let's get rocking!
If you're new to the channel, my name is Benji Kaiser. This is where you're going to find the best tech and tools for creative professionals. So if that sounds like your kind of place, consider subscribing and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the future videos. Also, as we're working through this video, if you're curious about the pricing or in-depth specs of either of these models, you can head down into the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do use that link, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. And that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Also, if you want to get a discount on either one of these laptops, you can head on over to Computer Upgrade Kings, use the discount code BEN3, and you'll get a discount on either one of these laptops or any laptop over on their website. All right, without further ado, let's get into the reason you're here, and that is talking about the MSI GF65 versus the Asus TUF A15. Right off the bat, we are going to start with the build quality and usability of these two laptops. I must say, if I were going to pick one of these laptops by the top cover alone, I'm definitely drawn to the Asus TUF A15. I love the military aesthetic of the aluminum top cover. Opening the lid, let's talk about the screens of these two laptops. I will say both open and close smoothly with only a slight bit of screen flex at the base of the screen. The GH65 comes with a 15-inch Full HD display at 120 MHz refresh rate, and the A15 comes with a 15.6-inch Full HD display at 144 Hz refresh rate. As far as the color accuracy is concerned, both of these laptop screens are lacking greatly in this area. The GF65 comes with 62% sRGB and 46% Adobe RGB, while the A15 comes with 66% sRGB and 49% Adobe RGB. I know a lot of people have been bashing the A15 for the bad screen, but I must say that the GF65 is even less impressive. Both of these laptops are sadly a disappointment as far as the screens are concerned, but for the price and performance, this is a common happenstance from manufacturers. They cut corners on the screen performance in order to put more focus on performance into the processor of the GPU, RAM, and drives. If you are a designer, photographer, or video editor, don't let this scare you away. These are great laptops, and once we jump into the benchmarks, you're going to see that. If you're looking for color accuracy, I would suggest complementing either of these laptops with an external monitor. I will link some in the description below for you to check out. The dual screen setup will also give you more room to work on projects, which can improve your workflow overall. Both laptops have well laid out keyboard decks. However, I have a slight preference towards the MSI GF65. It has a firmer key press than the spongier A15 keyboard, and I like the layout more. It is more simple and reminiscent of my Dell XPS 15, which is my daily laptop. But I will mention that the A15 is really nice and has a great Aurora RGB keyboard lighting that can be controlled directly from the keyboard deck. As far as the trackpads are concerned, I cast my vote towards the A15. It has far superior touch and sensitivity and gesture capabilities than the GF65. And although the A15 is a little more old school with that dedicated left and right click, it is a good choice as they are far more responsive and accurate than the GF65. I have often found myself not getting the click I was looking for when using the GF65. However, if you are looking for a well-built all-aluminum lightweight laptop, then the MSI GF65 is your go-to laptop. Weighing in at 4.1 pounds, which is actually 0.2 pounds less than the MacBook Pro 16, it is a great buy. But I will say when it comes to head-to-head comparison between the A15 and the GF65, although the GF65 is lighter and all aluminum, the A15 weighing in at 5.7 pounds, you will find that the A15 will keep you off the power cord longer, with its 90 watt-hour battery giving you about 6 to 8 hours of web browsing battery life and about 3 hours of intensive workflow battery life. Whereas the GF65 will only give you around 4 to 5 hours of web browsing battery life and about 2 hours of intense workflow battery life. So if you're going to be on the go and you need battery life, then I would steer you towards the A15. Both laptops come with a 720p webcam, so if you are in need of conference calls, then both laptops have got you covered. As you see the ports coming up on the screen, I always encourage people to consider their workflow. It can be important to have the latest tech, but if it does not fit into your workflow, it will go unused and in essence be worthless to you. So consider your workflow and pick the right ports for yourself. All right, now that we have covered the ports, let's dive into the tech specs of each of these laptops. The Asus TUF A15 comes with the latest AMD Ryzen 4800H, the NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti with 6 gigs of VRAM, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM at 3200 megahertz, 512 gigs of solid state hard drive, and a second additional M.2 slot available for expansion. The MSI GF65 comes with the 9th gen Intel Core i7-9750H processor, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM at 2666 megahertz, and a 512 gig solid state hard drive. Now, these performance specs are slightly different because it's the models that I had in stock. All right, now let's jump into the performance benchmarks. And if you're considering this laptop for graphic design, you're covered. These two laptops are great for graphic design, whether it be InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, or like myself, Affinity Photo. These laptops are gonna be very suitable for that. And also if you're getting this laptop to do some complementary gaming, you're in good hands there too. These next tests are gonna show you the video editing performance, specifically in Premiere Pro, and how it handles the heat. First thing we're gonna do is take a 9-minute 4K clip, put it into Premiere Pro, and then export it out at full quality 4K YouTube settings. The Asus TUF A15 can do this in 7 minutes and 20 seconds, whereas the MSI GF65 can do this in 6 minutes and 49 seconds. Let's take that same 4K clip and export it out at 1080p to save a little bit of time. The Asus TUF A15 can do that in 3 minutes and 12 seconds, whereas the MSI GF65 can do that in 2 minutes and 29 seconds. All right, now let's render this footage. So we have a handful of graphics that we're rendering. It's gonna be about 7,240 frames. The Asus TUF A15 can do that render in 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Whereas the MSI GF65 can do that in 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Both of these laptops have great 4K full quality playback in the timeline in Premiere Pro, so you don't have to worry about all that lagginess and drop frames while you are editing. All right, now let's talk about the issue of thermals. There's been a lot of conversation around the Asus TUF A15 and the thermal performance. During the 4K export and rendering, so whether you're doing exporting or rendering, we saw the Asus TUF A15 spike up to 90 degrees Celsius, but then come down and stabilize at around 72 to 75 degrees during the export or render. Whereas we saw the MSI GF65 spike up to around 75 to 80 degrees right as we got started, and then immediately drop to about 60 degrees Celsius for the continuation of the export or render. Okay, so the clear choice is going to be the MSI GS65 if you're looking for a cool computer. What about fan noise of these two laptops? Well, I must say that the MSI GF65 was far more impressive with its stealth-like abilities. During idle and light web browsing, the fans were not used at all. Whereas on the A15, I would hear the fans kick on and occasionally bump up to around 35 decibels. During the 4K export and rendering, the A15 fans boosted up to about 56 decibels, whereas the GF65 only hit 41 during export and rendering. But if you're looking for the latest Ryzen 7 4800H with solid video editing performance packed into a really nice military aesthetic, then the Asus TUF A15 is your go-to. But if you want an all-aluminum laptop that is thin and lightweight, packing great performance with even better cooling and noise capabilities, then the MSI GF65 is going to be the one for you. If you're curious about more in-depth specs or pricing of either of these models, you can go down in the description below and click those links. And again, if you do make a purchase to that link, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. And as always, that's what keeps the channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Keep editing, keep designing, keep creating. I'm Benji Kaiser, and I'll see you here on the next video.